I'm also doing that.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning. It's Monday. Videos. Okay. All right, I see one.
Okay, I have posted my watch party.
How do I do that now?
Okay, click share. Are you on the page?
I'm on the live videos page.
You click, so you must go into the video itself. You click share. Under share, there'll be more options. Under more options, there's start a watch party.
Okay, got it.
Yay.
Yay, okay.
Okay, done. We have 3 people. Morning, everybody.
Good morning. Okay, so I guess we can just begin. Kate, do you want to just have a short prayer? We can pray.
Let's start with a short prayer.
Okay.
Father God, thank you for bringing us together this morning, Lord God. Thank you for allowing us to wake up earlier, for everything to be set up and ready. Father God, I just want to thank you for the weekend that we had, Lord God. Even if it wasn't a restful one for us, we pray that in the week ahead, Lord God, you'll strengthen us and you'll give us your shalom, Lord God. You'll find us pockets of time where we can rest and recuperate and renew ourselves in your word and in your peace, Lord God, and your grace, Lord God. So, I just pray that today, as we're having this conversation, you'll open our minds, you'll open our hearts, you'll open our ears, Lord God. And we pray that, whoever is watching this, if they need a word of encouragement, they'll be able to find it during this time. So thank you again for bringing us together. We bless you and we lift your name up high, and all this in Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Yep.
Yeah, so today, Kate and I actually had another conversation topic that we wanted to talk about. But even in the reality of life, I think like plans don't always go according to what we envision. So just to really share honestly and vulnerably, I think both of us wanted to also bring some of our real struggles, real life struggles, into the conversations. And I think this is really what Fully Human is all about. And this is how we even started this whole project. So we wanted to bring our personal lives into it also. And even yesterday, something that was so real was that for me, because sometimes like dealing with a 7 to 8 month old baby, it's difficult sometimes because during the nighttime you may have to wake up for like night feeds, or like depending on if John is gassy or anything, sometimes he may wake up as well. So I think on Saturday night, it wasn't that easy and we didn't have much sleep. So on Sunday, when I woke up, I just felt like so tired, and this was just physical tiredness, but I think something that was very real that I also understand is that really when our bodies are tired, right, sometimes we get really cranky and groggy, and many little small things that usually don't bother you will become something that irritates you. And sometimes we think that it's got to do with like another person, like why they did something wrong and all, but literally it may just be because you just don't have enough sleep. And then you just feel different. So sometimes I realize that when that happens, I might, pick a fight with my husband or anyone else. But in reality, sometimes it's just that when I go back to sleep and I'm just more energized, right, I can see things clearly. So like the phrase of like sleeping on it, like what is one of Kate's favorite phrase, sleeping on it, like it really rings true. It's not just something that we just say, So yesterday, I think in that tired state, I was just kind of worried that I wouldn't kind of make the prep call that we would usually have on Sundays to do our Monday conversations. And I actually messaged her to tell her that I was really tired. And from something that just one, okay, so when I told her that I was really tired, right, I actually didn't think that, I wouldn't want to do the call today. It was just like, me complaining and crying out, that like, okay, I don't know, whether I can really do it, but I think for me at that point in time, I was really seeking some encouragement, just from a friend. And I think it's very interesting because what Kate and I are really good at doing is when we talk to each other face to face and even over the phone, because I think both of us, we know very well that we emote a lot with our tone of voice. And when we speak to each other in audio, we come across like more genuine than in text, because sometimes in text, when we text really quickly, it can get misconstrued, or sometimes we don't provide the context until the later messages, because that's how sometimes we type in WhatsApp, line by line. So I think yesterday was one of those days where like I was tired, and it was just so much easier to just drop a text to her rather than say, hey, can I, I'm feeling very like discouraged, I want to call you. And that's usually what I would do. But because I was so tired already, I think so many of my usual communication ways, I just didn't do it, and I think that became something that we started to have a bit of a misunderstanding over, and then maybe I'll let Kate share a little bit more, and then we'll just go from there.
I think what transpired over the weekend was that it's a place that all of us have been in, right? Like when you're really, really tired and you're just like, I don't think I can do this anymore. Like if this could be anything, right? I don't think I can do housework anymore. I don't think I can be in this marriage anymore. I don't think I can be in this friendship anymore. I don't think I can be in this job anymore. And I think, Jill, you were feeling all those frustrations. And then when you texted me, I think what I had read and what you wanted to say were completely different, right? And then so what happened was that it escalated really quickly, in the sense that like we didn't really get angry at each other, but I responded really quickly as well. And I was like, oh my gosh, does this mean we're not going to continue our conversations on Monday anymore? But it's been getting such great feedback, and we made a commitment to people, and then that happened. And then what happened was that I think the both of us automatically knew that, okay, I think we need to take some time to go back into our daily routines and just like think this through. And then I think what was really great was that, Jill, you messaged me back I think a couple of hours after that, to sort of explain where your head was at. And then I took some time to read it, and then I responded to that. But I think the best thing was that at the end of the day, the both of us came together and we had the same goal. We told each other, hey, I think we should just jump on a call. Because this is not the first time it has happened. I think whether it's a friendship, your relationship with your family members, or your relationship with like your other half, it's very easy for things to be taken out of context. It's so much better when two people have time apart to think about what has transpired and then come back together peacefully and just have an open discussion about that. So last night we actually had, I think, an hours long call just to discuss what had happened and share our fears and our worries and everything that had happened this weekend. So today on our conversation, we really wanted to be very honest with you guys that when real life catches up with you, like this morning, the two of us didn't really get enough sleep. And I told Jill very honestly, I woke up at 8 this morning and I was like, I can't open my eyes, right? And I was like, maybe we should just give up. Maybe Jill is right. Maybe we're just too tired, but we both had a conversation yesterday and our hearts are in this and we really want to see this through. So today we wanted to share this experience with you guys as well, because there's a lot of different facets to it, right? It's about how you're managing your relationships. It's about how you're managing your commitments, how you're managing the expectations other people have of you, and how to also manage conflict. We didn't really have a huge argument, right? It was really just, I'm telling you this, but the way I look at it, it's conflict, but not in a bad way. It's just that there was miscommunication, and it's so hard. It's so easy for that to have escalated into something that could have blown up, but it didn't. And so what did we do to be able to handle that situation together? Like, I think that's quite important
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
everyone during this period as well.
Yeah. So I think there were two questions, that within our little heated, discussion on WhatsApp, Kate asked me two questions. Is this something that you wanted to see through, which is this project that we're on right now called Fully Human? Is this something that I wanted to see through? And also number two, like, what is commitment to you? Because in the very first episode of this conversation, we did clearly say, that this project, we feel that is really something that the Lord put on both Kate and my heart, to see through. So she's asking me, if when I say that I'm tired and I don't think I can do this anymore, like, am I, really going to see it through? And I think that, so what I clarified with her over the phone yesterday night was that, it's not something that I wanted to step out of. It wasn't like I'm going to quit, that kind of thing. But I think that in reality, when we're all human, and tired and broken and things like that, the reality of things is that sometimes you just feel like you don't know whether you can do it, and that's where what my husband say, sometimes like in commitment, we know that we're committed, but there are points of wavering as well. And it's not that you literally like want to get out of like a relationship or an agreement or things like that, but it's just that your feelings and what your will, is like it's not matching up. So you feel like I can't do anymore, but your will is like you gotta do it, you gotta do it, you gotta do it, And I think sometimes that's where our friends, our family, and our community can really help us to bring it back to a level ground, And I think yesterday was a really good milestone and a lesson for Kay and I also in our friendship, where sometimes it's not just about taking the person's words as it is, but also like saying, hey, I know, that you're feeling this, but you are much more than this, you're much stronger than this. And sometimes, we were talking about encouraging ourselves as well. Sometimes you can encourage yourself, and you think that you're strong and your willpower can kind of like say like, yeah, you can do it, but sometimes you really just need another voice, to tell you that you can do it lah. And I think that's really part of being human, because we cannot do things alone. No matter how strong we are, no matter how much you think, that you are in tune with God, doing your daily devotionals, listening to his voice. Sometimes he also works through people, he works through the community that you're in, So I think that's a powerful message that we learned yesterday as well. And I think that we also really realized that, in this day and age where, not even day and age, in this situation of COVID and in circuit breaker in Singapore, or whether it's lockdown in other countries, a lot of us are not going to be able to communicate with people that we love in the way that we are most comfortable in. So maybe for some of you out there, right, your language of love is like physical affection, right? It's quality time with the people that you love. It's doing activities together. And with the situation right now, staying at home, you may not be able to meet like your best friends. You may not even be able to meet like your fiance, who's living in a different household than you are. So how are we going to make sure that we can be intentional in continuing to build our relationship in this time where everything seems like to be a status quo, like a standstill? So how are we doing that, right? So I think one way that we are very comfortable communicating with, it's through direct messaging, personal messaging on WhatsApp, on Telegram, on Facebook Messenger. But sometimes I realize also, that not everything is best said on text, especially, when Kate and I on conversation, we really understand that as well. Because for both of us, we are very, I think we emote a lot in our tone of voice. Yeah. So and a funny thing is that, like my dad, we always have a long-standing joke that he doesn't text very well as well. So we'll ask him a question and then he will just reply, like TKS, which is like thanks, or be blessed is BLS. So sometimes you don't even know what he's saying, and then it's like, it was very funny because like my brother actually messaged him a really long text to share like a dream that he had, and then after that my dad just replied like one liner. Then I'm like, Dad, you
Ouch.
can't do that. Somebody just spent a really long time messaging you a long text and then you just replied like, yep, see you soon or something like that. So I said, you can't do that. But to him and to me, our digital communication etiquette is very different, right?
Yes.
And we're also part of different generations, so that's understandable as well, right?
I think
But yeah.
I shared this with you that I think I have the bad habit of typing in caps when I get very excited. It's like LOL in caps or like ha 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 all in caps. And then like when I'm super excited, I'll just type my sentences in full caps, and then it never crossed my mind. But the other day, a mutual friend actually texted me and she was like, why do you type in caps? Don't you think it's quite rude? Like, has anyone told you that? And then I was like, oh, wow, like it could be construed as being rude, like I'm shouting at you, because I think from the very first time the internet was formed, when you typed in caps to someone, it literally was that you were shouting at them. And I was like, I think that habit came about because I was trying to emote my excitement and I would use a lot of exclamation marks. And then actually someone told me, could you not use so many exclamation marks because it just makes you look too excited. And then so it changed into all caps. So it's so funny, right? That like even like emojis and the way we type, it can have different meanings behind it. Like I could send you this particular emoji and I could mean something, but you could read it completely differently.
Exactly.
And I think that's the danger in direct messaging as well, because there's always the chance that there'll be a misunderstanding between both of you. Like you can send like this smiling emoji, right? But apparently it can come across as you're not being friendly or like you're just being like, I'm gonna back away now. That's what someone told me, because I like to send this emoji and I think it's very cute. But they said, oh, it looks like you wanna like you're asking me to back away. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, and it's so interesting, because I find that this is where, the test of how close you are to that person or the test of a relationship really comes into play. Because if it's, for example, someone that you're not very close to and you send that emoji in that text, right? That person may just, think like, why are you sending that emoji to me and like backing away, and if I'm not that close to you, maybe I will not clarify with you. I'll just judge you based on that emoji and like, okay, I think she's doing that. Let's just back away, right? But if I want to get to know you better and I literally like think that, hey, we're actually having a connection here. So actually maybe this emoji doesn't mean back away for you, but and because of our relationship, right? I want to take it further and I want to clarify with you, right? Then you literally what you just did there, right, is to deny yourself, and to say, okay, hold on a minute, I'm not going to get offended. Let me give her the benefit of the doubt first and just clarify and ask her, when you type that emoji, was this what you meant? And then that is actually an opportunity for you and that person, right, to just level up in your relationship again, because you just put yourself in an uncomfortable situation to give that person the benefit of the doubt. Yeah. So I think it's so real. And even on a daily basis, whether it's even with the people at home that you now can still see face to face, we already sometimes make assumptions of what each other says. You may say one thing and then in my head, I already think that, this is what you mean, huh? How can you say that about me? Right? But so what more on text, what more on messaging when the person is not in front of you? There's so much more opportunity to take what the person says and see the worst of it and misconstrue it and take offense immediately, and I think like what Kate and I have learned a lot from our relationship, because we value it so much, right? Obviously the human reaction of like being offended and like, how can you say this? How can she say this? It definitely comes to us, especially when in text, like we said. But so often, we actually have to rationalize within ourselves to be like, okay, no, what is she really, really saying here? And then I remember, like, what Kate tells me sometimes is that what she will rationalize in her head is that, like, okay, she said this, but then I know Jill's character, she doesn't usually do this, so if she's saying this, is she saying something else, or should I clarify? So I think, like, it's so amazing, that, like, she would do that for me, and to set herself aside and to think about what I said, and maybe it was out of character, maybe I'm going through something, that she would be willing to forgive that mistake, and then to clarify as well. So I think, like, that is a mark of also, like, how your relationship grows. So in this time, where we are all in so close contact with the people at home, and we may be rubbing each other the wrong way and things like that, how are we intentionally, right, pausing, thinking about, hey, this comment, it does offend me, it really does, but is the person really saying that? Will you actually give the person the benefit of the doubt and clarify it, so that there's one less baggage for you to deal with in this time, where the pressure on everyone is like so high, right? Yeah.
I think that's so real. Like Jill, like we've been sharing our own personal like lives and stories for so long. I think our relationship is very special. I think that because we have so many positive experiences with each other, right? That really I can find it in me to like pause and be like, okay, stop. Like stop thinking. And because my thoughts tend to be very negative and I'm trying to change my mindset and my thought patterns, right? But then I have to tell myself, okay, you need to hold your tongue. You need to think this through and then you respond, right? But I think it's such a real pain when it comes to family members that you've known since the beginning of your life, right? Because I think that's my biggest struggle. Like I can do this for friends and the people I love, but it's so hard to do it for family, right? And then a lot of us, I think a lot of my friends are stuck at home with their parents, like if they're still staying with their parents, and it's like there's so much past hurt.
Yes.
You have to also learn how to take all this emotional baggage and be like, okay, baggage, I throw you there for a while, and then I just need to like calm down and think things through, because I think we always want to be able to stand up for ourselves and have the last word. So for me, that's a very, very real situation that I'm going through now. And I have to ask myself, okay, how do I manage my emotions? And I think for me, every single day when I'm reading Proverbs, it's always a reminder of that. Like every single Proverbs I read, right, it's always like, hold your tongue, like be calm, cool, and collected. Like that is what wisdom is, So it was, I think yesterday's one was Proverbs 17:27, where it's like, can you bridle your tongue when your heart is under pressure? That's how you show that you are wise. And understanding heart keeps you cool, calm, and collected, no matter what you're facing. So I can tell everyone right now that I'm not wise enough. My heart is not understanding enough, because there are really moments where I cannot be cool, calm, and collected, So I think very, very importantly, the first thing that I really want to share is that when you're feeling your emotions rise up, right? If you're lucky enough for this communication to happen on WhatsApp, throw your phone aside. Go and throw your phone aside and leave your phone there. Just tell yourself, I'm going to read this later. I cannot read this now, and make a promise to yourself that you cannot respond to this person immediately, and it's okay. Because I'm a very efficient person, right? When I see you typing, see that you're online, I feel this pressure, I'm like, is Jill online reading and waiting for me to type and respond to her? And then so that's why coupled together with my own personal personality, I'm always like, I should respond now. But I think I've really learned that, okay, throw your phone aside. The person doesn't need an answer now, okay? Just if it's a very serious topic, you don't have to answer straight away. Go and spend some time thinking about it. Go and spend some time reflecting about it. Go and calm yourself down, right? But I think in person, it's even harder. Like if you're having a heated discussion, right? It's going to be a heated discussion. Actually, you can feel it in your insides already.
Like bubbling up.
Yes, you can feel it bubbling up, and then you're like, I need to say something. I need to say something, and actually, I can feel my face get red. And
Yeah.
like when you feel that happening, take a deep breath.
Mm.
And I have yet to practice this. I'm trying to practice this, but take a deep breath and then be like, okay, I'm going to talk to you later. Let's have a proper discussion about this later. Maybe you think about it, I think about it, and then walk away.
Yeah.
Maybe the first time that you do it, I've been thinking about this. Maybe the first time that you do it, it might seem really rude if you walk away. But don't you think it's better if you walk away than to vomit it all out? The other person just keeps going. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Especially when you're stuck in such a small space. So I
Yeah.
guess my question for you is, because you and Jeremy, you guys are now staying together, and then you have John as well. Like, how do you diffuse such situations, lah?
Yeah, I think it's very real when when you say that when someone says something, and especially when the person is the closest to you, the closest people do you hurt the most, right? Because you value them like so much, and their words really either build you up or tear you down, right? So I think when it comes to Jeremy and myself, definitely ever since working from home, we've been having so many discussions and arguments on different topics. And, it's so easy to learn these techniques of walking away and to like, okay, just keep quiet, if you want to say something negative and then walk away and then cool down. But the reality of pride is real. When someone says something already, you're like, oh, I need to say something. That was wrong. You misrepresented me. I did not do that. I did not say that. And sometimes like I really just want to applaud Boaz, our deacon Boaz and Claire from our church, where they have taught us really great skills in conflict management, and they tell us about, this card, where the rules
yellow
on
card.
this card, is to actually listen, is a listener, a speaker technique. Yeah, what they call that. So basically, you can use anything. So in very heated arguments, right, there were times where like I used a water bottle and I said, Jeremy, now it's your turn. Okay, let's just use a water bottle and it's your turn now. You can say whatever you want, and my role is to not like jump in and say, hey, that was wrong. Hey, no, that's not what I meant. It's for you to fully express everything about the situation that you have experienced, whether it's right or wrong, but to just say, this is how I experienced it. And obviously, when I'm saying it now, it's very easy to teach, but in practice, it's very hard because the real emotions really come into play. So that's why like something physical like a bottle or a card, anything that shows you that, hey, it's that person's turn now, will help you to say like, okay, that's not my turn to speak yet. So I think that has worked here and there, where we take turns to share with each other our version of the story, whether it's real or not. And then once the person has finished, the other person then gets the bottle and says, okay, now it's my turn to speak. Okay, I'm going to paraphrase what you just said. And is this how, when I'm understanding the situation, is this how you feel? And if the person says yes, then you can either apologize, for the parts where that person has felt wronged or anything, and then also you get your turn to say how you feel wronged. Because in every situation, there's really never one person who's right, because it takes two hands to clap, right? So even if someone did you wrong, right, you chose to react wrongly as well. You didn't give the person the benefit of the doubt and like maybe said nice things to that person to say like, hey, I didn't like what you did and this is how it made me feel. You just went like, hey, why you like that, right? So it's also a wrong response, right? But so often we think that no, the person did me wrong, I have the right to respond badly, and that's our human part, right? Where we have pride. So I think how we have managed it so far is to try our best, to be intentional when things like that happen. Like, okay, we need to conflict manage early, So sometimes we do that, and sometimes we fail. And the reality of it, like I said, it goes back to the first point that I made. Physical sleep, getting enough rest is actually a very big part of how you can conflict manage well. Literally, if you don't have enough sleep, right, you cannot think clearly. and as much as we think that our willpower is really strong and all, your body just cannot function when it doesn't have enough rest, because your sleep is where, you actually, a lot of things in your body get repaired and things like that, right? So there's really such benefit to that. And if, we are not able to get enough sleep, how are we able to navigate these things? I think like some of us, don't have the luxury of working in our own time frame. We have to get up, for 9 a.m. start and things like that. So I think sometimes what I would do also is to just try and find ways to take a rest. So it could be maybe, for example, if your lunch time is like an hour, maybe just find time to eat within like 15 to 20 minutes and then take the rest of the time to rest or have a quick nap. There's always a way around it. We all have the same 24 hours, but literally you can plan like what you want to do with the minutes that you have lah. So, I think that sometimes when I feel that, I'm really very restless and I can't even bring myself, right, to an argument, having enough energy, then I would, go and rest. And then after that, we'll continue the conversation and things like that. And same for if like you're hungry, a lot of like, I would say,
Don't be hungry.
yeah, like my dad, like Jeremy, they get very hangry when they're hungry. So I think sometimes, like for women, we're like, no, we want to settle this now. How can you want food over, like talking to me and things like that? But like sometimes the reality is that, they really need some food. So
No, I'm like that. Like,
yeah.
I know when I'm hungry, and then I'm like, I can't continue this meeting right now. I need to go eat something because
Yeah.
I can feel my anger bubbling up, and the anger doesn't make sense. It's like over the smallest things, I get angry. Then I'm like, okay, let me just go eat first, and I'll come back and talk to you.
Yeah. And
So
then
it's very
also,
real. Like our physical bodies affect our
exactly.
mental state. Yeah.
Yes, and so one of the real issues, even I have with that, right, would be that, let's say, for you, how you function and how I function is a very different thing. And for example, let's take the food thing, for example, right? So if you say like, okay, I'm very hungry now, I will come back to you after I eat, right? And then to me, if I don't see this behavior, I don't put that on myself, right? Then when I see you do it, I'll take offense because it's like, you just chose food over me. But that's not the reality. It's because you want to bring yourself fully to this conversation that you need some food,
I
right?
think
To
then
get
it's
energy.
also on me to explain to you, right? It's like, hey,
Yeah, I
Jillian,
guess so.
this is why
Yeah.
I'm going to get food because I
Yes.
feel myself getting hangry, and
Yeah.
I don't want that to cloud my judgment and the way I can handle this conversation.
Yeah. So I think like that was also one of the issues, that I was dealing with in terms of conflict management with Jeremy, because like I think for me sometimes like I'm I'm still they will say, like recovering perfectionist, right? Where you need to know that like you don't need to push yourself, you know, in performance mode for everything, right? Performance mode in relationship, performance mode in work, and all of that. So like sometimes because of this performance mode, right? Like I would like tell myself, you can't eat until you solve this issue. You can't sleep until you get this work done. So it's a very punishing sort of mentality, and it's something that I was aware of also, and also want to get rid of that. Yeah, so I think when I expect that of myself, I also expect that of other people.
I
And
totally get that.
that's where it becomes unhealthy. And I think that in so many situations, Jeremy has also enlightened me to say like, this is not the way to do life. Like you shouldn't be doing this, you shouldn't be putting that kind of pressure on yourself. It's very unrealistic. But to me it's like, no, my willpower is very strong. This is, the way I show that, I'm excellent in what I do, but it's actually not the truth. Yeah, and I think that for us now, in this time when we're at home, a lot of our idiosyncrasies, a lot of our bad habits will also show up, and a lot of our styles of working, will rub each other, when we're at home. So are we going to be offended by it, or can we learn from other people as well? If let's say, it sheds light on our working style and whether we can improve on it as well. Yeah. So I don't know. I mean, I didn't directly answer your question, but yeah.
No, I think that was great. I think I just want to give a word of encouragement here. Like, I think we're all going through the same thing, right? We all have our struggles in our daily lives. And this, like, if someone had told me this in the past, like a couple months ago, I would have been like, like rolling my eyes, but really every day, like the one thing that gives me encouragement and gives me reminders is the Bible. Because like when I'm feeling very tired, right? Like I really forget what I'm supposed to be doing, how I'm supposed to be acting. But then, like as you're sharing with me, right, all this wisdom from Proverbs 18 that I was reading, it just comes back to me, you know, and I'm like, wow, this is really what they mean, right? That if you build your life on God's words, then you'll have all these like knowledge and revelation that you can learn from and pick up from. Because like for example, it says like there are two sides to every story. The first one to speak sounds true
Wow.
until you hear
Yeah.
the other side and they set the
Yeah.
record straight. And that's from
Yeah.
Proverbs 18:17. And
Yes.
I was like,
Wow.
this book knows our entire life. But it's like when we don't read it, you wouldn't be able to step back and comprehend what's happening, right? And then even like Proverbs 18:14 says, the will to live sustains you when you're sick, but depression crushes courage and leaves you unable to cope. And honestly,
Wow.
like because I used to suffer from depression, and one of the top things they always say is that when you don't have enough rest, it really takes a toll on your emotional well-being. And that's when depression creeps in. That's when, you know, like because you're so tired, you just can't function, you can't think straight. So it's like, when I read this verse, right, I'm just like, when you sleep, right, it's also part of your will to live. That's where you get your energy from. And then that's what is going to sustain you. But if you don't sleep enough, that's where depression comes in. It crushes your courage and leaves you unable to cope. So that's so important, right? And then even like this Proverbs 18:19, this is all from Proverbs 18. It's easier to conquer a strong city than to win back a friend whom you've offended. Their
Mm,
walls go up, making it nearly impossible to win them back.
mm, mm,
And then
mm.
it's like, you know, you read the Bible and they're comparing a lost friendship to conquering a city. It's like, I would think that conquering a city is so much harder, right? But then now they're saying that winning a friend that you offended is actually so much harder. But guess what? I actually see hope in this line because it says nearly impossible to win them back. So it's actually possible. I really want to encourage people that, like, you know, during this time, if there are friends whom you have forgotten, or if there are friends whom, you know, maybe you took offense at something they said, or they took offense at something you said, now is the time to reconnect. Just message them and be like, hey, how are you doing? You know, I I also want to give a word of encouragement because this happened to me. Like, if you hear a rumor about a friend, you know, hear something negative, don't go talk about your friend. Just go directly ask them, like, hey, how are you? You know, really, like, how is COVID-19 treating you? You know, just share with me more about your life, because I think just being human about it and asking someone, how are you, is so important, right? Rather than just being like, I heard this. You know what I mean? Like, I think like at this point in time, everyone needs a gentle reminder that there are people around them who love them, who care about them, and it's just as easy as three words. How are you? And then
Exactly.
let the person respond. And then from there, you know, listen to them and tell them, I hear you, you know, like I still want to be your friend, I still want to make a connection with you. Let's just try to reconnect, and I'm happy to be your friend, your listening ear, etc.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's for real. Like when you say, you know, in this time, all we need to do is just ask these three words, how are you? Um, I think just before January, before COVID hit, right? Those three words, right, sometimes almost mean nothing to many people. You
It's like
know,
saying hello.
when you write it, you know, in WhatsApp, hey, how are you doing? I'm good lah, I'm busy. You know, honestly, I really hate those responses. And if I've ever said those things to anyone out there, I'm really sorry, you know, because it doesn't mean a lot lah. You know, it really is just like, hey, you know, thanks for asking, but no thanks. I don't really want to have a conversation with you, right? So I think that, you know, when now with whatever that's happening, you know, it brings these three words, you know, so much more meaning in a sense, because nobody is really like rushing through everything. You know, people really are taking time to digest like things lah. So, you know, when you say how are you in this time, people are literally affected, you know, by this situation. So you can really answer that question however you want. You know, how are you coping in your work? How are you coping at home? It's just a question that will open up conversation so much more than it used to in the past. So I'm also being reminded, that like Kate said, it happened to many of us, where we have lost friends, we have lost relationships, because we have took offense too quickly and were too prideful or too unwilling to clarify things. Many times we go through life, right? And many of these situations hurt us, right? Of which none of these were true, Actually, it's only what we thought about it that hurt us, And I think that one example, that I can remember about, right, was one of my secondary school best friends. So she and I only met up, I think, about 2 years ago after like our whole time together in secondary school. And this was because somehow both of us, had different ideas of how we left each other, after secondary school, we parted ways in different. She went to JC, I went to poly, and we left the relationship and left each other with many misunderstandings inside without clarifying. So all this was actually baggage that she and I both had about each other, and obviously with life that went by, right, we never needed to touch this relationship. It was just, in the background, literally, right? Yeah, but I think one day when she saw one of my Facebook posts, she said like, hey, why don't we just meet up for coffee lah? And then when she messaged me, right, all my feelings and all the memories like came back. I'm like, I don't know whether I really want to meet her, And actually, like when I told Jeremy about it, he was the one that encouraged me to go and meet her, And actually, she was really going to be very disappointed because I did not reply her. She thought like, I was just not sincere, you know, um, about changing lah, because literally she saw something on my Facebook that talked about my life and how I was changing. And then when I didn't reply her, it's like, yeah, it's fake one, yeah. So in the nick of time, like I really did reply her, and then I said like, let's meet up. And when we met up, right, I don't know how we got there, but we managed to talk about many things that we we thought happened, but we saw the situation differently. And then we started laughing like, no, I don't even remember that I did that, blah, blah, blah. And then we started crying and like, oh my goodness, this is so stupid, that kind of thing. And, I wouldn't say, that when that kind of thing happens, relationships magically, become close again or you become best friends again. But I think it really did good for both of us, where a lot of the things that we had that was lies in our head, right, actually became unraveled and we then knew the truth about each other. So even then, moving on from life from there, right, we just
Changes your
saw
perspective of it.
exactly, and we just saw each other in a better light, and it's not like, I don't know whether many people feel this way, but if you don't have an offense cleared, right, with that particular person,
Yes.
and let's say you still follow them on Instagram or social media, every time you look at their post or their story, like something like, like hits you inside.
Right? It's like, yeah.
Yeah, and can you imagine all these micro hits that you take on a daily basis and get offended by people that are just living their lives and not doing anything to you? How much more can we, be living abundantly if we didn't have all those little micro hits, and baggages that hinder us on a daily basis, So I think that so often when our relationships hit a place where we get offended with one another or there's a misunderstanding, this is actually a chance, right, for you to take the relationship to another level. Yeah, it's either you say, hey, I'm offended, let's break apart, or hey, I'm offended, but I value this relationship more than what I think of the offense that I just had, so I'm going to stay strong and also clarify with that person and see whether now, whoa, we can just build another level of trust with each other because we were just vulnerable with each other with our feelings.
Yeah.
So I think so many times in the past when we're younger and we're like immature, we'll just be like, forget it lah, let's just not talk to that person anymore. Or like, oh, this guy that I'm dating, like, wow, like that also, can offend me, right? So what if we're married? So forget it lah, I don't want to work on this relationship, right? So I think how many times, we just toss aside relationships, like it's, invaluable, unvaluable, not valuable.
Invaluable?
Not valuable, but
Not valuable? Okay.
yeah, because we just think that it's too troublesome, right, to have a conversation with that person, right, to iron out offenses,
I'm just
But
going to step
yeah.
in here because to anyone that is watching, right, as you were hearing Jill share, as you were hearing the both of us share about that little tinge and about the offenses, if there is someone that comes to your mind, right, I want to challenge you that this week, go message that person, okay? Ask that person, how are you? And let me give you a tip. If the person just says, I'm good, okay, here's a tip on how you can get people to open up. You open up first. You tell the person, oh, during this COVID period, I'm stuck at home. I've been thinking about life, and like this has been happening to me, da da da. You open up first. You open up to that person and you try to mend the bridge. You don't have to be best friends with the person after this, but like Joe said, right? Like if there's an offense in your life, if there's something in your life, in your past with someone else, it's going to help you grow to the next level if you clear that offense and there's clarity behind the situation and why any of this happened, right? So this is this is my personal challenge this week because someone came to mind and I'm going to message that person and I want to just, have a conversation with that person and find out how they're doing. And I think something that really came to me as well is that, the world says that a leopard never changes its spots, but I just want to tell everyone that guess what? People can change. And how people change?
Yeah.
God can change the person.
Yes,
God can change you. And if God changes you, it is your privilege that He has changed you. Because last time I'll be like, hey, this person should change. This person is in the wrong. They should change. They're weak. Da, 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 da. And then now I'm like, if God changes me, it's my privilege. Like I am getting better. He is willing to spend His time to change me and watch over me and help me become a better person. So like, if you feel that in your heart, right, let me tell you, God wants to change you and it's a privilege that He wants to change you. He could just give up on you. He could just not care. But he's just there waiting for you and He's like, hey, I see this in your life. I have this destiny for you and you have to change.
Yeah.
So that's your challenge for this week. Okay, go and reach out to someone and clear an offense.
Yeah. And it may be the most nerve-wracking thing and fearful thing to do because you would imagine 1001 ways how that person may reject you in their response. But even that, right, is something that will help you, to not fear the opinions of others. Because when you want to make up with that person or release that offense, it's not because of that person's reaction or how they will accept your apology or anything like that, but it's really to release yourself from that, right? So that you can move on from that. Even if that person rejects it or it's not ready for a conversation, you have done your part to put your hand out. Whether that person shakes your hand is up to them, and it's nothing to do with like whether you did the right thing or not. So if you have to stretch that hand out and wait for a long time, it's still going to change you. You don't need that person to say yes before you can change. Yeah.
Yep. I think it's such a good time to end. It's 15 minutes. But I think I want to end with Proverbs 17:17, right? Like it really rings true. It says, a dear friend will love you no matter what. And a family sticks together through all kinds of trouble.
Yeah.
And I hope that there's a word of encouragement for anyone that's listening. Like you can be that dear friend also. You can love your friend no matter what. Just be dedicated to seeing it through and understanding your friend's intentions behind everything that they say, because we are not in this world to make life harder for each other. You know what I mean? Like that's not our intention, right? Everyone's too caught up with their problems, like everyone's caught up with their own lives. So like when someone says something, just try to understand where they're coming from, and I'm really preaching to myself. Like really need to just like break through pride and be like, okay, pride, I'm just gonna cast you aside and like I really need to find out why this person said this. And maybe, they just didn't have the capacity to phrase it in the way that would have sounded nicer or that I would have wanted to hear it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I can hear him. Hi.
Yeah, I agree. So maybe we can also just end this time with prayer for everyone who is watching or will be watching later on, and also to just start our week off with gratefulness, I guess. Yeah. Okay.
Let's do that.
Thank you, Heavenly Father.
Thank you, Jesus.
I just want to thank you,
Yeah.
Father God, for Kate and myself being
Mm.
able to make it to this conversation this morning. Father God, even of what you have just done in our lives for each other, may it be just a testimony, that people can change and that we can set ourselves aside for a greater cause than ourselves, oh God. And I pray, Lord, even as we are speaking about this to those around us, we just thank you, Father, that for your word that says, that friends and family, are what will stick by us, Lord. And I'm just so reminded that instead of also just longing, for friends to be the good friends to us, we can just stretch out our hand, and be the good friend first. That when they see us, being a good friend, that other people will just be inspired to be like, hey, like I can be that too, So I just want to encourage everyone today, that for the rest of the week, that you may live intentionally and live abundantly with the word of God in the center of your life. And that even if you don't know who Jesus is, that this will be such an opportune time to be able to just ask God questions and say, hey, if you're out there, right, I have all of these questions for you, and I want to seek you, and I want to seek the answers, and he may not give you the direct answer that you're looking for, right? But he will definitely open up his perspective to you about what the world is about, what you are about, and what you are destined for. So I pray all this in the name of Jesus, and I just speak shalom, peace over us.
Yes, Lord.
In Jesus' name I pray, amen.
Amen. So good.
Okay, yay. This is much
Yay.
shorter than before, so yes.
Keep going.
Yeah.
We can do it. We can do it. Thank you,
Happy
everyone,
Monday.
for watching. Oh, Jeremy Tan said hello at 41 minutes ago. I'm sorry, Jeremy, you didn't see that. Okay.
All right.
Hope
See
everyone has a
you.
good week.
See you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.